Hey, my name is Tyson from DinosaurDogStudio.com, and today we're going to be talking about the static mix, which is the first step that you should always be taking inside of your mixes. So before we dive into that, if you are interested in learning more about Dinosaur Dog Studio, discovering if I'm even a legitimate person to be paying attention to with your mix tutorials, then you can go to DinosaurDogStudio.com to learn more, listen to my portfolio, see if what I actually produce is good or not. With that said, static mixing is the first step of the mix process. So what a static mix even is a mix that only uses volume and panning. So it's just setting the volume balance correctly in the song primarily. This is incredibly important, especially if we're using techniques like top-down mixing, where we start at the mix bus level and then move back down to the individual track level after that. If we start at the top and do mix bus processing, we need a good volume balance on the individual tracks. Otherwise, our compression and EQ aren't really going to be in a proper context for us to actually be able to set. So incredibly important step is getting the static mix correctly. The strategy here that I like to use is, first of all, when you put all of your tracks into the session, you then bring everything down so you don't hear anything coming out of your DAW. Then you slowly bring up one element at a time in order of importance. So I bring up my most important element or most prominent element first, and then I dive into the rest of the elements after that. And I just keep going in order of importance, and I set everything relative to that first or second few items, so that if I have a background vocal, that's not going to be competing with my lead vocal, because my lead vocal will already be in place. I can set my background vocal relative to where the lead vocal is sitting inside of the mix. So that's the strategy. Let's dive into actually seeing this play out in practice. So the first step really before we start mixing is really mix prep. I've already done all of that so far in this session. So I've colored my tracks, I've grouped them in buses, etc. So I don't really need to go back and do any of that. But that being said, I do want to make sure that you do mix prep before you actually start into the actual mix. But the first step in our mix is going to be the static mix, which is, as I've already mentioned, the volume balancing of all of our tracks, volume and panning. So I've already developed my plan that I intend to have for this song, and so all I'm going to do now is really just try to get a good balance for the song. I do recommend developing a plan before you dive into this step, because if you don't have a plan, you're just going to kind of randomly move things around. While it's good to experiment in this phase and take your time doing it, having a plan is inevitably going to assist you in mixing quicker and more objectively. So let's dive in and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do when I'm actually setting my balance is my static balance is I'm going to choose the most important element first, and I'm going to bring that up first. So right now all of my tracks are producing no sound. So if I play the song here, there's nothing coming out. But I'm going to choose my most important element first, which is going to be, in my case, my snare, and I'm going to bring that up. And so I'm going to bring that around minus 10 or so decibels. And then I'm going to set everything else relative to that. I try to pick the most important element that's going to be the loudest in the mix. All right, so now that I have my snare set, I'm going to bring up my next most important element, which in my case, it's going to be the kick. All right, so now those are sounding pretty good. They're at a good level. And so I'm now going to move on to my lead vocals.
Okay, let's take a chance. we'll burn like streetlights. Cigarettes or stars in the night sky. Okay, let's take a chance and we'll burn like streetlights. Cigarettes or stars in the night sky. I know we're trying hard enough, 'cause I'm okay, yeah, we're okay. Let's take a chance and we'll burn. Okay, let's take a chance and we'll burn like streetlights. Cigarettes or stars in the night sky. I know we're trying hard enough, 'cause I'm okay, yeah, we're okay. Let's take a chance and we'll burn like streetlights. Okay, let's take a chance and we'll burn like streetlights. Cigarettes or stars in the night sky. I know we're trying hard enough. Streetlights, cigarettes or stars in the night sky. I know we're trying.
I'm not sure where those doubles are going to be in the end, but we'll just leave them there for now.
Okay, let's take a chance and we'll burn like streetlights. Cigarettes or stars in the night sky. I know we're trying hard enough, 'cause I'm okay.
All right, so let's bring up our electric guitars next.
Okay, let's take a chance and we'll burn like streetlights. Cigarettes or stars in the night sky. I know we're trying hard enough, 'cause I'm okay, we're okay. Let's take a chance and we'll burn like streetlights. Cigarettes or stars in the night sky. I know we're trying hard enough, 'cause I'm okay, we're okay. Can you feel my heartbeat? And please say you're with me, say you're with me. Okay, let's take a chance and we'll burn like streetlights. Cigarettes.
And then our bass.
Okay, let's take a chance and we'll burn like streetlights. Cigarettes or stars in the night sky. I know we're trying hard enough, 'cause I'm okay, we're okay. Let's take a chance and we'll burn like streetlights. Cigarettes or stars in the night sky. I know we're trying hard enough, 'cause I'm okay, we're okay. Can you feel my
so you can tell I spent quite a bit of time just trying to really nail down the initial static balance. This is critical for your success in your mix, because my next step is going to be actually going straight to the mix bus and doing some mix bus processing. And if I don't have my balance right, I'm not going to have a very good overall frequency landscape to really work with when I'm shaping my mix bus EQ and compression. So I do spend a lot of time initially getting the static balance correct, because there's nothing worse than doing a lot of work and realizing that your static mix wasn't actually even correct, because anything else you do down the line is going to make a much smaller difference than the static mix. So make sure that you do set your volume balances first before you do anything else in your mix. It'll give you better context when you're actually mixing in your song, and ultimately will result in a much, much better end result. So that being said, thanks for watching.